You've already seen me pass data for a login screen to a logic block and now from a view to a view. But I just want to elaborate on the concept a bit more. As you've noticed, a major way in how you build apps in Appspotr, or major way of how you build apps in any system, even if you're coding, is it's being on a screen and triggering something and passing data forward, either into another view or either into a logic block in order to do something, and then displaying what comes out on the other end. That's the essence of it. There are different data types you can play with. There are different logic blocks you can use to modify data, to trigger functions, to call external services and fetch external data. This list could come from your own API. Maybe you have an existing system. That's also fine. Yes, why would a view need data coming in? Is maybe you want to display more of something, like what I showed you. When I click an item, I'm like, hey, I want to see more. So you have certain fields that you don't display on this screen, and then you decide to show here. You want to display the result of some sort of logic, so I can show that in a second. And you can also pass data to another logic block. So you've seen it from a view based on user input. You've not necessarily seen it from selection, but I could have also said that if I click this item, I should trigger some sort of logic block. So any of those things are possible. You can also connect two logic blocks together. So that can make, you can potentially create nice flows like that. How do I keep values when I calculate things, or how do I store values for next time when the app reloads? Those are things we look at next time, but those are also things you can do. So it's not only passing data, and when you click on things, you can also do some sort of calculation or fetch something and then do something else and then come back. Like, there's a lot of flexibility, which introduces a lot of complexity. So we're going to layer it slowly over the next few webinars. But this part will be kept for next. It gets really interesting when you start playing around with these things. So what I'm going to do with these two concepts of on a view is I'm going to make a random text generator. Not sure if that's relevant to anyone right now, but it's just to showcase what you can do with a logic block and a view. And I'm just going to make a random number generator. So two things. Again, if people want to see how this is built, we can share these apps with you so you can understand how they're built. For this, I will just make two views. There's another way to do it as well that will make a bit more sense. People are probably wondering, why are you doing it like this right now? But I'm doing it like this right now because these are concepts that we know. So I'm just putting those together into practice. And then I'll introduce something a bit more advanced next time that'll make more sense. So right now I'm going to make two views. One is with a button, really simple. And I think I already have that view, so I maybe don't need to do it. And then I make a second view that will just display my random text. All right, so let's start with that. I already have my button view, so I'll just reuse that one. And I will create another one that says display random text. You could also, the items that I typed in the form previously could also be sent to a view in order for people to double check, hey, this is what it's going to look like. This is what the grocery item is going to look like before it gets posted. You can do whatever you want with the data before actually using it in logic. So right now, it's going to be the most basic view anyone has ever seen, just text. And it takes, let's see, random text. That's it. Incoming something, some random text. And let's put this guy in here. Random text. Yeah, there's ways to make it look a bit more like some sort of random text app. I can use a cooler font. I can make the text size humongous and make it a bit bold. So the text coming in will have a certain style. You can do centering. You can do all the other things as well. Let's keep it like this. Now I will make myself a screen. I'll need to get rid of another screen. Oh, I said I wouldn't delete views. Let me just move this guy out of the way. Oop. Let me put my button screen. Connected. So I'm going to name it trigger text generation, just so that we understand what it's going to do before it does something. And I will add this screen, which is, its purpose is to display something, but there needs to happen something in the middle. You can't just click a button and generate text. So let's make an extra space for a logic block that I like called string manipulation. And this one, navigate, button click will take you to string manipulation. From that, there's a bunch of things you can do with string. So string is text. It's another word for text. You can manipulate text. You can extract a piece of it. You can repeat it. You can add things. You can combine text together. But I'm just going to use a simple one. Generate random text. And then there's a property here that says, hey, how many characters do you want? I'm just going to put 6 because it looks cool. And now what you'll notice is it cannot fail. This cannot not work because it's just going to generate a random text. So there's only one output compared to others that can fail. So we connect that to the view. And then you see again, my view can take a random text and the string manipulation has a result. So if you put the two together, that's what happens. Let's check it now. In theory, when I press the button here, I'm going to go to another view where I see random text. Trigger text generation. There you go. Again, you're seeing a back and forth. There's a way to do this dynamically on the view. I'll need a concept from the next webinar in order to show that one. But there you go. We can do something a bit more complex with number, to do a number generation. But it's the same concept. You have a view where I can trigger something, you put a bunch of logic blocks together, and then you come to some output somehow. Let's try and tidy this up a bit to make some space. Again, I will just use my same button screen. The OG button screen, where it's going to trigger number generation. There we go. All right, number generation. I need a view that can receive a number. So let me do that. And let me just duplicate. You can also just easily duplicate a view. Display random number. There we go. So it says random text, but we'll change it to number. Let's make a new input random number. Then I don't have to recreate everything again. There we go. I'll remove this guy. I did it this way just to show you, but you can actually just rename and change the type. Random number, and this won't work like this anymore. So there we go. Input should match what you're using. It's all about the names of things and their types. Let me come here again and add this guy. Number generation. Okay, let me leave some space. And this one is a bit more complicated. So I'm going to put 3 logic blocks together. For this example, I would have wanted something more simple with 2, but it ends up being 3, and they end up being very similar examples. So it's fine. So I'm going to actually put 3 together and pass the result to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the view. And we're going to generate a random number. There might be other ways to do it, but what I've seen works well is we have this math logic block. which it has different functions, and we chain them together. So one of the functions that it has is generating random number, but you can see you can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, any math operation you can do. I'm just going to type random there. This is why I need 3 logic blocks. It's actually generating a number between 0 and 1. So I'm just going to do a bit of math, and I'm going to connect that together. So start by connecting these two together. That's that. And then let's do this. The next thing is I just want to multiply it. We can provide maybe the finer details on why this works, but those of you who understand will understand why it works like this. Let's multiply it by 6. No, multiply it by 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. That makes more sense. Multiply it just to add a few zeros, because it's going to be a decimal, and then I'll round it. It will make sense as a full example. Like this. What you saw last time happened, where they get put together now, and now we are only dealing with logic blocks. So logic block requires something. I've set a number on X to say, just multiply by this number, but Y is empty. So we'll connect this guy's result to Y. So this is where it gets a bit, well, way more complicated with that building. But essentially, we are multiplying my random number by, what is that? 100,000. Should add 5 zeros. And what we do with it next is just get rid of all the messiness. Let's just round it. Just clean it up, round it. So again, see, you can make another connection. And again, it's asking for something. You just pass the result on. It's like a pipe. You're doing this, 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 this. And when I go back out, you saw I exited. I entered by clicking this. And now I'm editing this. And I come back. And now it has the last one out here. I connect to my view. And again, it's saying, hey, result should be passed on. Let's take a look at it. Again, my fruit, but here, or my groceries, I guess. Trigger number generation. This is this screen here that I've made. And when I press this button, it'll trigger a succession of logic blocks, which will end up displaying a random number. So there you go. And it's the same thing as before. You can play around with this yourself. Disconnect the last two and just see what I mean with how it works. You can try this out for yourself in your own app. Just use only this one and pass it to the next screen, and you'll understand why I end up multiplying it and why I end up rounding it. There's a reason. There's a reason for it. And actually, now that I think of it, the slides that we provide you, I will maybe detail exactly what's happening. Then it's easier to follow. I apologize for the slightly more complex example, but just to show you how things can be put together and why everything is so, let's say, so disconnected and flexible. Just so that you never know how you combine things, you can create something new. And in this case, random text generator, random number generator. We've had these logic blocks for a long time now, a few years, and we just stumbled across this the other day when we were building stuff for fun.